Well, good afternoon to another edition. Actually, this is the 47th episode of the second season of our WHUR TV program. It's amazing how quickly time has passed, but I don't have a lot of time to talk about that because we got some big news today. But here you are, WHUR TV. We are bringing you news that matters. And please let us know if you enjoy the program. We certainly do want to hear your comments. We want you to send us emails or connect with us through news at washingtoninformer.com or right here in the chat. We just want to hear from you. I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of this week's Informer. And of course, Sherry's going to show it, but I always like to show the real print issue. And boy, we are so excited that we finally did a story on the news, the top news of the day. And that is, of course, our Supreme Court nominee. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But there's a lot of great news in the Informer this week, as well as the monthly issue of WI Bridge, the publication that I said that's done by millennials for millennials in the DMV, and they're doing great news articles on pop-ups in DC. You know, a lot of these young entrepreneurs that can't afford their own storefronts, but they're working together and creating these pop-ups and selling their product. So that's what the story is about the bridge this week. So make sure you get a copy of the Informer, or you can find it online at WI Bridge DC or WashingtonInformer.com. If you're watching on Facebook, please go ahead and hit share so your followers can see the broadcast. And if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us and we'll follow you back. And of course, if you're a TikTok user, you can follow us there too. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. That's one word, Washington Informer TV. Sherry, I'm not sure, but I think we have something to celebrate. Our digital analyst told us that we had reached 500 subscribers this week. And I know we're trying to reach that big old goal of 1,000. But 500 is not bad. I mean, we're creeping up. But you know, we want to thank all of you all who are subscribing, because we think we've produced or created some great programming for you. But there's so much more we have in store. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to us. Well, I don't know if you've heard the news, but I haven't stopped jumping for joy to a certain extent. Today will go down in history as the day the first Black woman was nominated to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. President Biden has kept his promise by announcing that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is his choice to sit on the U.S., to be presented to the U.S. Senate for confirmation. And so that is really good news. And announcing his selection, the White House reported that President Biden believes Judge Jackson is one of our nation's brightest legal minds to the Supreme Court. And he thought when he made this selection that she's a candidate with exceptional credentials, unimpeachable character, and unwavering dedication to the rule of law. A former clerk for Justice Breyer, who she is nominated to replace, Judge Jackson is a top jurist with strong experience on the federal bench, currently serving on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. Jen, we need to put her photo up. She has served as a federal appellate judge, a federal district court judge, a member of the U.S. Sentencing Commission, an attorney in private practice, and a federal public defender. Judge Jackson has been confirmed by the Senate on a bipartisan basis 3 times, and most recently last year for her current seat. Born, okay, DC folks, this is where you can get excited. She was born in Washington, DC, but she grew up in Miami, Florida. We'll forgive her for that, but she is still a native Washingtonian. And her parents started their careers as public school teachers and became leaders and administrators in the Miami-Dade County's public schools. Judge Jackson was a star student, but told not to set her sights too high by a guidance counselor. Said she wanted to go to Harvard. And today, she once again proves the sky is the limit. Tell you, don't let these folks tell you what you can't do. So, if confirmed, Judge Jackson will be the 3rd Black person and the 1st Black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. I am so honored to bring to the show right now LaFonza Butler, president of Emily's List, who's going to talk to us about this nomination. And look at that smile. Welcome to WHUR TV. Okay, we might need you to unmute because we can't hear you. Oh, she's not muted.
If she did a Zoom or anything on a computer, the mic is being used by something else. So
oh, yeah. Ms. Butler, we might have to get you to go. She said, Chevy's explaining that if your mic not working, and if it was connected to something else you were using earlier. I know you've been backed up with interviews today, and we certainly are glad that you were able to join us. Can you hear me? Can I hear you now? Can you?
Let's try that. Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes, we're good. So you don't have to go out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So how are you today?
I am doing well and meeting you at your excitement. It is an incredible celebration for the country today. So I'm glad to be here with you.
So the one thing, let's go back, because when President Biden made this commitment, and some say he made it to Black America, but I think he made it to America, that he would nominate a Black woman. You know, you've been with Emily's List. You've worked with women who are striving to get elected into political office. What was your first thought?
When he made the commitment, or when he
made the
commitment?
When he made the commitment.
When he made the commitment, you know, I heard it as you heard it, Denise. I really heard it as a commitment to America. And in my spirit, I said it, you know, it's about time. And so I am excited about, and really thought at the moment when he made the commitment, that it was an opportunity for so many more experiences to be part of the discourse of the Supreme Court, the lived experience that whomever his nominee would be. And we're grateful today and excited today that it is Justice Judge Jackson. But there will be so many experiences of women and girls all across the country who would finally be a part of the conversation at the highest court of the land. And so I was excited when he made the commitment then, and I am incredibly excited today to not only celebrate her nomination, but frankly, to call attention to her experience and credentials. I mean,
can you talk a little bit about that?
The fact that she has been confirmed by the U.S. Senate, as you mentioned, 3 times before. The fact that in those confirmations, she has, they have all been bipartisan confirmations, that Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham has supported her in the past, that Senator Lisa Murkowski has supported her in the past. The fact that she overcame the story of, as you noted, of what her guidance counselor told her, and that she continued to pursue her dreams and will be, I think, an incredible justice for the Supreme Court. But let's go to her jurisprudence experience.
Yes.
She has served on 3 levels of court and done 3 levels of service, where she, as you noted, now at the DC District Court or Court of Appeals. She has served in District Court. She has been a part of the National Sentencing Commission. She has been a federal defense attorney. You know, when was the last time that someone has such a well-rounded body of experience that was nominated to the court? She has published over, I believe, 600 rulings in her career as a judge, and I think, of course, it should be examined, and we should have a thorough engagement. But I am undoubted that the White House has really gone through a rigorous process to put forward an incredibly qualified legal mind for consideration of the U.S. Senate. And she is a Black woman that is also making history as the first Black woman nominated. So incredibly qualified, and a great day to be advancing her name forward.
There's an outpouring of support by a host of organizations, including the Congressional Black Caucus. I know that we received words from Reverend Al Sharpton. There's been National Bar. A whole bunch of groups now are supporting the nomination, but they feel as though there are some things that they may have to watch out for, because we know how the Senate process works, and we know how folks can sort of try to discredit you. I know that that's what the CBC mentioned, that they want to make sure that the process is fair. Do you have any concerns about that?
Look, this is a process that should be, Denise, designed to engage and interrogate the credentials, the experience, the jurisprudence ideology of Judge Jackson, and at any time that it goes outside the bounds of her qualifications, her character, I would have concerns, because that's when you know that it's not about her nomination. It becomes about partisan politics. And so, of course, I think we are all right to be concerned, but I think that we are also right to be incredibly confident in her eventual confirmation. But we've got to be vigilant. We've got to make sure that she's not the victim of a character assassination that is unjust and undue and irrelevant to how she would show up as a justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. And Denise, we have seen this at Emily's List. We work every day to elect women up and down the ballot. And when you're a history maker, oftentimes, whether you're the first woman to represent your school board or the first woman to be elected governor, oftentimes when you are the first, your credentials are questioned. And what we have found is that when you are the first, it usually is a demonstration that you have impeccable credentials, that you are so qualified, that you have worked to gain the trust, to earn the trust of so many in your community. And I think that that is what we are going to find with Judge Jackson, that even as there may be those who will attempt to derail the process and make it about other things, that what America is going to see in this process is that she is a nominee that we all should be proud of because she is so qualified.
I want to just switch really quickly as we kind of wind things up. But we've already seen the Republican National Committee begin to throw daggers. And the points that they're making is that even if she is nominated or confirmed, that it really doesn't mean much because of all the reasons that the Republican, there's this, the Republican Party believes that Biden's been a disappointment to Democrats. And one of the things that we hope to do next week in an article that we do, Stacey Brown will do for us for the Washington Informer, is to point out why this nomination, regardless of who it is important to Black Americans, that it's important to have a Black person. Well, we have one, so I guess that's the issue. But at any rate, why this nomination should be important to Black America. And it's not just about her being, a good candidate, but what it means for us in our daily lives. And is that something you can speak to as well?
Denise, I have a 7-year-old daughter, little Black girl who's in the first grade and who every day talks to me about what she dreams for herself, what she dreams for her classmates, what she dreams for her community and those around her. And I think the nomination of Judge Jackson is another conversation that my daughter will have with me, and most importantly, that America's daughters can have about the things that they can now dream and aspire to be. And when you have the privilege of being represented anywhere and everywhere you choose, you can say that a nomination like this doesn't mean anything. But when you are from a community where you've had to fight to belong at every table, when you have been shut out of every room, to have the ability to see yourself and to dream of what kind of contribution you can make to make your community stronger, to make your country stronger. I think that means something. And it means something not just to my little girl, but for every girl around this country, that they themselves and the friends that they engage with every single day can indeed be anything that they want and wherever they want in order to build the kinds of communities that they know that they deserve. And so it means something, and it is a big deal. And shame on those who would think otherwise.
And also the fact that the power of this, I don't know if I can't remember if it's the first, second, or third estate, but it's one of the estates, the power and influence that has over our daily lives. I mean, mask mandates, voting rights, abortion rights, where we go to school, transportation, every issue that goes through the Congress sometimes has to be vetted through the Supreme Court. And we don't really look at the Supreme Court as we might look at our local council member.
Sure.
But that all those rulings, and if we don't have a seat at the table and a voice in the conversation, right, that means that we're left out. So isn't that part of it as well?
I mean, these are lifetime appointments, Denise, and there are so many issues, whether they come from laws passed by Congress that are where the constitutionality is being questioned, or laws passed from states that are whose constitutionality is being questioned. It is true that the U.S. Supreme Court sets the rules for so much of our daily lives. You named a number of the issues that are going to be before this court almost immediately.
Right.
Abortion is in front of them now. This is a court that already chose to gut the Voting Rights Act and all of the implications that has on who and how voting happens in this country. Clean air, clean water. These are issues that are going to be before the court. And it matters not only in our daily lives, but it will matter for generations going forward. And, you talked about Roe, the Roe versus Wade decision, and whether or not women across this country will be able to make decisions about their own health care and their own bodies. This is going to, again, those issues that will determine the future of a woman and her right and the construct of her family forever. And so, yes, it is a court. It is a body that has impact on our everyday lives. And we should, as voters, as citizens, we should care very deeply who is appointed to these positions. There are only 9 of them. We should care very deeply who's appointed to these positions, because it does matter to our daily lives and regular issues every single day.
LaFonda Butler with Emily's List. Thank you so much for being with us. I didn't know you were there. So we're going to have you back on the show because to me, where you are and what you do at Emily's List is a story within itself. We know what Emily's List used to be, and we can see what Emily's List is now. So we might get you back on during Women's History Month. Because I'm sure you have a lot to share about, women in elected office and how we support them. And so I really thank you for taking time out at such a short notice, but we didn't know it was going to come. We knew it was coming, but we didn't know it was going to be today. So thank you so much for being with us.
Of course, Denise, thank you. And I'm happy to join you once again. Be well.
Take care. Thank you. You too.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So we hope that I want to thank LaFonda Butler. Again, she's the president of Emily's List, the organization that really strives to get women elected to political office all across the board. And they put a lot of power and energy, resources behind women who want to become, who engage in the political process. And so it's so good to see her in that position and to be able to talk to us and to talk to us about what's happening today. So we're going to move on with the rest of our program. I just, it's almost like you had to stop to that because it was important that we did. But this is Black History Month. We're still in the month of February, only a few days left. And we've celebrated not only Black History Month, but Black Love Day. And we also want to observe Children's Dental Health Month. So we're going to start off our conversation again with talking to Dr. Stella Chukwu and spotlighting her new dental practice, Rockstar Pediatric Dentistry and Orthodontics. You got to be excited too, Dr. Chukwu, just to hear, how, the progress we are making in this country. And I don't know if you wanted to comment on that before we get into what you're doing.
Yeah, it's phenomenal just to be a Black woman to, now, and just to know that Biden really has honored his word of, helping minorities, especially women, get into, higher political power. So I'm excited and thrilled, and the timing is amazing. This is Black History Month. The next month is Women's History Month. So I'm honored to just, be a woman. So yes.
A woman who's doing as they say, the doggone thing. You have, not only are you a rock star, but you've created Rockstar Pediatric Dentistry. So tell us why, first of all, where are you from? How'd you get your training, and why did you decide to go into dentistry?
Yeah, sure. I'm honored to be on this podcast with you. So thank you for selecting me as one of your guests. So I'm Stella Chukwu. I'm a native Washingtonian, first generation Nigerian American. I grew up in the Northwest neighborhood. I've always wanted to be a dentist. I had a really good experience with my family dentist in the Brooklyn Northeast area. I went to Benjamin Banneker Academic High School. So shout out to the Bulldogs. After that, I went to Spelman College, then went to Howard University for dental school. So I've always believed in HBCUs, and, supporting them now is definitely important, especially what's going on with all the bomb threats and just the state of the world currently. So a little bit about Rockstar. It was designed, and I guess the vision came during COVID. So, shortly after the pandemic in March, April, a lot of dental offices closed, and it was just open for, elective emergency dental care. And, for 3-6 months, I was just basically at home, just thinking about like my vision, what I wanted out of life. And that's when I started to create, I had the vision, it came to me, and I started to look for real estate, look for, healthcare attorneys. And I started, so I would say about April of 2020 is when Rockstar began to, become a thing. And I found a location in the city, in the neighborhood I used to live in. And I currently actually moved back to the neighborhood. And we're here in a storefront next to Target. We have great visibility. We're off of Georgia and Eastern Avenue Northwest. So I'm excited and just wanted to share my story.
Why Rockstar? Where did you get that name from?
Well, to be honest, I know a lot of dentists and medical providers, they name their office on the street the street that the office is. It'll be like Georgia Avenue Dental or something like that. And for me, I just thought it was just, for me, very limiting. I know Rockstar is going to grow and it's going to have a second location and possibly a third. So I wanted a name that when you think about it, it brings positive energy. Just, you hear of a Rockstar, whatever it is, whether it's a musical theme or a dental theme, it's just something of aspiration, something you want to be. So Rockstar came also, to be honest, is that my name is Stella and my mom calls me Star. So that's her little nickname for me. So wanted to pay, honor to my mom and just have something that, would kind of just be meaningful. So Rockstar came, and it's now Rockstar Pediatric Dentistry and Orthodontics.
That's fantastic, and congratulations to you for opening the practice, and as well for being with us today, because I think back a few years back when there was a story, and I don't know if you remember this, about a child. I think that a boy lived in Maryland with his mother, and his mother couldn't afford to get dental care for him, and he was suffering from, I guess, a toothache. It became infected, and he ended up dying from it because the infection spread throughout his body.
Yeah.
And just tell us from a practical standpoint, how often should children go to the dentist, and what should parents look out for if they complain about anything?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was Diamante Driver. And I do believe that was in the early 2000s when he passed away. And that's when a lot of people really woke up to the fact that, your mouth is a part of your body, and it should be, one of the priorities that parents really consider. People think, oh, it's just baby teeth, they're going to fall out. But to be honest, what we're doing is setting up the foundation for good oral hygiene practices. So, that is very an extreme case, but yes, because the body is connected, the mouth is connected to the body, it does happen. So he had a dental abscess, and a dental abscess is caused because there's untreated dental decay or cavities. And so we have to think about what we're actually eating. And so to prevent dental decay, it's really important that a child comes to the dentist no later than the age of 1, and creating a dental home where a place, the dentist and the patient and the family can have, relationship building. So we shouldn't be waiting to the age of 3. I know a lot of pediatricians say, oh, don't worry, don't worry about it till the age of 3. But actually, we're missing a lot of milestones where we can actually do a lot of prevention. A lot of the first time moms, they don't know about fluoride. They don't know how to brush their teeth. They need pointers. So when they come to the dentist at an early age, we're hoping to, educate, to kind of guide them on how to, how to brush, what to do, what kind of foods they're eating, and what really happens if you let a cavity, such as what happened to Diamante Driver, untreated. It can turn into an abscess if you don't get it, an antibiotic to take care of it or get it extracted. It can actually, have a Gulf-sized swelling of your whole face, which can lead to, decay, if not death, which would happen to him. So it's really important to really stress prevention.
And like you said, starting as early as 1, which is, babies will remind you that they're having teeth problems when they start teething, and they keep you up all night because, they can't sleep because their mouths hurt. And so that's a reminder from what you're saying to get them started. But talk a little bit about food and decay, and because some parents are not conscious and their kids are eating candy and sodas and juices and all kinds of stuff that may or may not be good for them. But how do you advise parents about that?
I would say during the pandemic with, virtual school, we've noticed an increase in dental cavities. As you can imagine, that a lot of kids were working in, the comfort of their homes and weren't really brushing on routine, just snacking and grazing throughout the day. So we have noticed the intake of dental cavities. We have patients who never had cavities, and all of a sudden, 18 months later, they had cavities. So even during the pandemic, I know we're kind of winding out, or at least things are getting, better, depending on, which side of the table you sit on. But it's really important to understand nutrition. So we do recommend, a lot of foods that are calcium rich. So like cheese, low fat, milks and yogurts, and avoiding a lot of sticky, hard candies, which aren't good for your teeth. And ultimately, at the end of the day, water. Water is the universal solvent, and it's good for your skin, it's good for your body, it's good for your teeth as well. So if you can't brush, we do recommend 2 times brushing twice a day for at least, 30 minutes or 30 seconds, pardon me. But it's really 30 minutes, that's a long time, right? If you can, that's even better. But for at least, 30 seconds, each quadrant for 2 minutes, actually. So what we recommend is that you really look at your child's snacking patterns. So it's the frequency of snacking too, right? So it's not necessarily what you're snacking on, but how often. So if you can introduce more, variety of fruits and vegetables, like I said, cheeses. I know a lot of parents like to snack raisins or pack raisins in their children's lunchbox, but be really careful of that because raisins tend to stick into the grooves and pits and fissures of teeth. So just be mindful of sticky, hard candies, drink more water. And I do want to make a comment about juice. I know a lot of parents think that 100% juice is really, is better than a lot of the concentrated things, but it's also important that, children under the age of 6 drink less than 4 ounces of juice. So sometimes you're consuming too much juice. So there's no nutritional value for juice. So ideally, more water, but if you have to, be mindful of the consumption. So after the age of 6, we can recommend up to 8 ounces. But for our little ones, we really want to stick to under 4 ounces of juice.
Yeah, that's good. I sometimes believe in diluting it, half and half, or with juice and water. If you want a little flavor, that's fine, or squeeze something in there, but make it mostly water. But this is excellent. Do you have anything special that you're planning besides being with us for Children's Dental Health Month?
Yeah, so Children's Dental Health Month started February 1. So we had a story time in my office where we brought members of the community and neighbors to our actual office. We did a dental tour. So the kids who've never been to a dentist had a chance to just, walk around, see what the dental chair looks like, the lights and everything, play with our toys. So that way we kind of reduced the dental anxiety and dental phobia that a lot of adults still have. And that's because they weren't introduced to a positive dental experience. So they came here, they touched everything, they filled, we talked about nutrition with the parents. And then we also sat down and talked about some dental oral hygiene practices. and read some books from some dental authors. So it was a good experience.
And I guess the last thing I would want to ask, sometimes, it's interesting, insurances sometimes don't cover dentistry. I just cannot figure that one out. But I guess for children, is it different?
Yeah, I would say most insurances, if the parent adds the child to the insurance, they cover 100% preventive, if not 180%. So I think that with our legislation, they are doing a better job to really include dental care and preventive things. So I would say most of the time the parents have insurance and they add the child is generally not an issue for dental exams. Currently at our office, we are giving complimentary dental exams for children under the age of 2. And we have a wonderful orthodontist, Dr. Brianna McRae, who's also a Washingtonian and a Howard grad. And she's here at the office to also offer complimentary orthodontic evaluations for children and adults. So Denise, if you're interested in braces, you can always come to our office. She'll give you her thoughts and consult with you. So it's a one-stop shop for all a parents' pediatric dental needs.
Well, my dad would never let me go get braces because he said that gap was sort of a Roll-Arc thing.
No, it's actually a beauty mark in a lot of African countries. It's a
right. Well, there's stuff going on in the back, so yeah, I might come and get that. Get that old age teeth thing. Thank you. But no, I might check you out because it makes sense if she's doing that. And how long is for children under the age of 2? Is that something you normally do, or was it just for?
No, we just promote, Children's Dental Health Month and promoting our practice. We are a brand new practice. We're less than 3 months. So just trying to, make it, I guess, lessen the barriers of care, especially for children. If a mom can't afford dental exam, we're offering that just to educate and do what we can to prevent. So,
well, I wish you just the best of luck, that your practice grows and expands like you're talking about, because we need dentists all over the city, particularly over here in this part of the community where we are in Southeast and Ward 8. I know we have them, but of course we've got some potential rock stars over here, so we'd love to see them under your care. Give us the address and a phone number again.
Sure. So the address here is 7838 Eastern Avenue, Suite D, Northwest Washington. And our telephone number is 202-596-9094.
Okay. And your hours? And
we're open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5. And on Wednesday, we have an extended hour from 9 to 6.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Dr. Chukwu. We appreciate you being with us. And again, like I said, good luck to you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you.
All righty. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I think dentists, Chevy, and I have to just talk to you because I can't see my audience, but, I think it's important. It really is important. And I'm glad that she was with us to talk about the need to make sure that children, there's so much right now, kids need to get their regular, we're complaining about vaccines, but they still need to get their regular vaccinations. They still need to regularly go to the doctor, to make sure that they're healthy, to make sure their teeth are okay, that they're okay mentally. Because if we want to do something to really bring or grow the next generation, we got to begin really early, making sure that they get all the care that they need right away. So I thank you I'm just glad that she was with us. And we're going to continue this conversation because Dr. Chukwu didn't know it, but many of you all may remember Dr. Carol, I'm sorry, calling him doctor, but it is Dr. Carol Henson. You all may remember Mr. C from WOL. And I want to bring him on right now as we talk about Black History Month, but I don't want to make it sound like he's, a personality of the past because you're doing so much currently, but I do want to talk about the past, Mr. C. Thank you so much. Your career started during the Civil Rights Movement in 1964. And 65, so I don't want to go through all this. I just want to talk to you and talk about just your career in Washington, D.C. and let's start with how you got started in radio. Welcome to WHUR TV. Me?
Him.
Oh, yeah, we need you to unmute yourself.
Unmute. How's
okay,
that?
So there you go. Good.
There
okay.
you go.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. You know, and you would think that, first of all, I am a native Washingtonian. Although I live in Annapolis, I had to correct something. When we started, we talked about, and congratulations, you ladies should be very, very proud with our Supreme Court nomination.
Thank you for
I
adding
know
that.
that's going to be good. I've got good feelings about that. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
But I just want to say that I was born in Freedman's Hospital, which is right where the radio station is located now, because my mother could not have me here in Annapolis because the hospitals here in Annapolis would not, accept Black and African American ladies to have babies here. So my father had to take my mother to Freedman's Hospital, where I stayed for 3 days and was born in Washington. So my birth certificate says Washington, D.C.
And we claim you anyway.
I love being claimed,
You
especially
know,
by beautiful ladies. Thank
we
you.
all grew up on Mr. C. So, you know,
Hello.
I think back to my early days when, I first sort of discovered R&B and radio and that sort of thing, and WOL. And there you were. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, talk about getting started. I started at WANN here in Annapolis, and a guy by the name of Hoppy Adams, who was Mr. Everything. He was the only Black jock in that kind of covered the DMV, even though we had WOK and what have you. But Hoppy told me, says, well, first of all, Carol, you don't have a great voice. You'll never be as good as I am. And that made me more determined. Made me more determined. I was determined I was going to be a good DJ. And then one day, after being a support mechanism for Hoppy, I ended up at WOL. And what I did, I got there by giving up a fake interview tape. A guy by the name of Chuck Leonard made a fake tape for me. And the program director at WOL said, this is a fake tape. And I know that you have a horrible voice, but we need someone so bad that we're going to hire you. Do me a favor, do not talk a lot. He said, just do the station breaks and play music and support these guys. So I was the first original part-time with Nighthawk, Jim Kelsey, Jolly Jerry B, Fred Corey, and all those guys.
And that's when OL was over on Wisconsin Avenue, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of people don't remember that. Yeah.
It was owned by Sonderling Broadcasting, which of course was a white conglomerate. They owned WWRL in New York, and they started at WOL, which was a station here in Washington. No one thought that WOL was going to be number one. Within 4 weeks, the station became number one in the city. It was phenomenal. And during those days, we, even me as a part-time jock, we could not go out and make public appearances. It required police escorts and what have you. So talk about rock star, like the doctor just, we were rock stars back in the day.
Yes, you were.
Well respected. And of course, as you mentioned, we were there during the civil rights era. When James Brown came to town during the riots and so forth, we were out in the streets. Yeah. But, and with James, and it was quite an experience.
What was the relationship or the competition with you all? But like you mentioned a few minutes ago, WOOK, WHUR radio, which also was Black programming as well. Yeah. How did you all, compete, collaborate? Was there any of that went on at the time?
No, there was no collaboration. I mean, we were so strong. That WOL came in with such an impact that we just completely demolished everyone. WST, WOK, we just smashed them. And and from an economic standpoint, we also everybody wanted to buy in quotes radio time on our station because they knew that we reached the general population. And so that became very, very important. So I guess maybe our ratings were so phenomenal that people had to buy us if they wanted people to know that they existed.
So, radio's changed so much. When I think about you all, really, not to take anything away from radio announcers, because first of all, they got away from the name disc jockey. You all they eliminated
announcers, that. Yes.
And now you're announcers.
Yes.
And also, you all, I just think you had to work because you had to really spin records, right?
That's right. Now everything is computerized. Even if we make mistakes on the air, there's ways to correct interviews. I mean, everything is pretty much clean. And one of the older people in radio told me once, he said, Mr. Henson, do me a favor. Remember this, say 50% of everything you think you should say, cut that in half and think about the other half. and then you will be effective. People do not listen to radio for voices or people. They listen to radio for music.
Right.
That's why some of the popular streaming and the channels that are out now are getting even more popular. Even when you buy a car now, you get a free music channel in a lot of cases. So radio is changing. Black radio is changing. We're up against some great odds now, but at WHUR we're working hard to overcome those odds, and I think we're doing quite well in the market.
The big deal, and I know this because when I was in law school, I went over to work for the Federal Communications Commission for a minute, and they had me focusing on payola. And I guess can you explain what that was, and how did you all manage that at WOL? Was that ever an issue for you all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess it existed. I mean, the James Brown, actually, I mean, if you watch the James Brown movie, it talks about James Brown would come to town and as they say, tighten up all the DJs just to talk about, to mention the fact, well, James Brown is coming to town and here's a record by James, and play it, because the jocks, white or black, just didn't have an opportunity to make any money on the side. Disc jockeys, announcers, whatever you want to call us back in the day, did not make a lot of money. The big money guys like Humble Harv and all the guys up in Cousin Brucey up in New York, Chuck Leonard, who was the first African American disc jockey. And there's some history for you that went to WABC in New York. And on the weekend, he made $100,000 a year. And you're talking about back in the 60s.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
That's like $500,000, now. And so Chuck Leonard, in fact, he was the one that made my hype tape, the fake tape that
right.
So it's been great, and I'm celebrating well over 50 years in radio now. I feel good, and talk about Southeast Ward 8. Let me tell you, that is my favorite place in Washington. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I would say out of all the phone calls I get, maybe 25% of them come from Southeast Ward 8.
Really? And that's now with you at WHUR.
Yes, at WHUR. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
With the Time Tunnel, that's the name of our show. And of course, we feature old school 70s, 80s, and 90s. People seem to want to hear that stuff now. Even young people can identify with the oldies, as they call them. But and I think with the virus coming back, a lot of people said, I'm going to start listening to the old stuff. My favorite songs that maybe some of the kids are saying, well, my mother and father used to listen to radio, and I heard this song that Mr. C plays now. And we have people that call, and young people call me and say, well, I don't like old school, but I listen to your station because my parents listen. And I remember they used to sing some of these songs. I remember when I was a kid and I heard these songs, I used to see them dance together. And I think go ahead. You go. The emotion of old school, of the old records. Now I have nothing against hip hop or anything of that sort, but the emotion and the closeness and the warmth of old school is a lot different from what we're hearing today.
And the lyrics, you can sing to those songs.
That's right.
You can
That's
sing
right.
them.
Yeah, you can. The lyrics stick with you. They become a part of your life.
They do.
Yeah.
We have one of our viewers is just saying how he grew up. Mike Lassiter is saying how he grew up on WOL and really, he says you're still cranking and you're his man and he loves listening. Kelly Armstead is saying she loves listening to your show on Saturdays. You're on from what time on Saturdays?
From 9 until 12. We've been moved all over the place, but no matter how you get it, our job, of course, is to kick off the weekends at WHUR 96.3. And the main reason is having that energy early in the morning when people are just getting up and going out and doing their chores, etc. It makes it a lot easier to hear something that you're familiar with. So our show is the kickoff show for the weekend, right on through to our gospel in the afternoon on Sunday and so forth into the quiet storm on Sunday afternoon and evening.
Mr. C, you talk about energy. You've been doing this for 50 years and you still look like the ever ready bunny. It's like you still have the energy. What has kept you in radio and what keeps you going? What inspires you to go out and play that music every Saturday?
God does it. My doctor said that I have more energy than any person my age is that he's ever seen. And he said, as long as you work and as long as you keep your energy up, you're going to always be young in spirit and young in mind. I have an intern here at my office that's 19 years old. His name is Alan. And I've learned so much from him. I never stop learning. And I think each of my listeners, when they call, I listen to everything they say because I learn from people. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. I learn from you because they have something I don't know anything about them, but I learn from them each and every time.
But I want folks to also know you're in Annapolis, you do radio, but you're also with the, Maryland Historical Organization. I want you to talk a little bit about that, because we talked before and we talked about how we brought a group of folks to Annapolis, for one of our African American heritage tours. You knew all the stops that we went to, and that's because you're with the museum there. And talk about what you're doing in Annapolis.
Well, I'm the only African American member of Historic Annapolis, which is an organization that basically supports all of the older buildings in Annapolis. Our museum features. Previously, I also was involved with the Banneker Douglas Museum. I was chairman of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, which is the oversight commission for all of the museums, Black museums, focuses in the DMV. And we certainly, Annapolis has a lot of history.
Yes.
Of course, with the Kunta Kinte situation. And we have some great festivals here. We kicked off our Juneteenth festival last year. For the first time, it was a total success.
Wow.
We have I'm sorry.
In the midst of COVID, you all still had the festival.
Yes, we did. Yes, we
all
did.
Right.
This past year, it was fantastic. And we also have the Kunta Kinte Festival, which also has been a hit every year. And people from all over come down to it. And if you come to Annapolis, you can look on the side of my building. There's a mural of John Lewis. And I painted the side of my building, which is one of the on the main street coming into Annapolis. You can see John Lewis's image on that building, and I'm so proud to have that there. Annapolis is a very strange town, even though it is the capital of Maryland. But it's a good town to come to learn a little bit about us, and a lot of folks don't realize that.
Well, we had a tremendous tour there, and we learned a whole lot about Annapolis, and it was really, I wish we had known that we were coming as your guest, but we'll be back.
That would have been great.
But we'll be back. So what do you have in store for tomorrow morning for the show?
Well, oddly enough, what I do, we have programmed a certain amount of songs. And then once we start, our phone lights up. We have like 6-7 lines, and people start calling us Ward 8. We have a young lady by the name of April from Ward 8 that calls us every week and tells us what she's cooking for breakfast. Then she'll tell me, well, Mr. C, I want you to play a certain song. And she'll say, now you're going to play that song. Don't make me come down to the radio station and beat you up. And I have a very close relationship with my listeners. I always talk with people. And I enjoy talking with people. And I remember, when I think of songs that really remind me of what's going on now, there's a song called Always and Forever by Heatwave. Always, forever, each moment with you is just like a dream come true, etc. And it goes on. And you think about these songs, and then, you talk about your life. Life is a three-ring circus. Like a merry-go-round, it goes round and round. And we think about what we're going through. Life is a three-ring circus. You never know which way it's going to go. We're approaching a very, very interesting time. We have a Black woman being put on the Supreme Court. We're going to claim that one.
Yes, we are.
It's going to happen. And then we got a war over in Europe. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And what I do know is that the COVID taught us a lesson. It taught us that we're going to be together no matter what, and we have to love one another. And the COVID forced a lot of people to be together, did not want to be together.
Even
so
in our own families.
that's it. That's it. You know, I don't know how many divorces will happen as a result of COVID. But, and then again, a lot of kids are coming out too.
That's right. That's right.
So you know, praise God. I just want to thank you for having one of the greatest forms of media that you know in the Washington market. It's been around forever, and I just you and your family were around back when WOL was starting.
Oh, I
And we
know.
just,
You know, my dad used to do a commercial
yes, he did.
at WOL. There was a partnership, a trade. That's the first time I understood what trade meant, because I can go back to some of those old issues and see the ads that WOL used to run in the
That's right.
Informer. So
That's
that
right.
was a great
Yeah.
relationship. Mr. C, thank you
Yes.
so very much for being with
God
us
bless
today.
you and
It
keep
is
up the
such
good
an
work,
honor.
Denise.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Thank
I will
you.
be listening tomorrow morning
You got
as
it.
normal, you know, because it's good music to do some house cleaning by as well. So you
That's
can
right.
dance
And
around the room.
exercise. Don't forget the
Exercise.
exercise. We want people to dance. Get the
Right.
exercises I've been getting out because of the COVID.
Yes,
So we're going to do some dancing.
exactly. Okay.
And thank you.
All right.
God bless
Thank
you. And then
you.
we always say, see ya.
See ya. Boy, that was a real treat to have Mr. Carol Henson on with us today. So we're going to jump quickly because we're running out of time, and I just am apologizing because I wanted to spend more time with Roberta Brown Cooper, who has written a recipe book about African cuisine that I got to get a copy of. Ms. Cooper, welcome to WHUR TV.
Thank you for having me, Ms. Barnes.
Yeah. So, you know, so let us see a copy of your book first. I want people to know what it is. What's the name of it now?
It's called African Food is a Culinary Journey.
It is a beautiful cover too. I really, really think it's a beautiful cover. Why did you decide to do this cookbook?
As a lover of international cuisine and as a flight attendant traveled for 28 years, I noticed there were no cookbooks on the newsstands or in bookstores that carried African food from all regions of Africa. And so I decided that I was going to educate people about African food, the richness of African food. This is why I wrote the book.
One of the things that it's in some of my travels, Roberta, if you don't mind me calling you Roberta,
Sure.
is that it's the seasoning, it's the flavor. I mean,
Yes.
there's rice, and I know here in the DC area they have this jollof rice competition sometimes, but there's rice, and then there's, you know, African rice dishes. You know, talk about, you know, because when you say African cookbook, each country has their own touch to similar dishes. So do you look at those as well?
Yes, I do. And I did when I was researching and putting the recipes together. Because though we have foods that are from different regions, but a lot of the foods that we eat in Africa are very similar and prepared in similar preparations. And so when you look in East Africa, they have certain foods they eat there, and they eat beans, they eat pap, which is millet meal, corn meal from corn meal, and also in West Africa, we have some of those dishes that are similar also. But you said you mentioned the jollof rice boar. Jollof rice is a West African dish that is very popular, and we have different ways we prepare jollof rice. And I happen to be from Liberia. Our jollof rice is quite different from what the jollof rice I've had from Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Senegal, and the Gambia.
It's all good. But what makes
It's
jollof
all
rice
good,
what
yes.
it is? I mean, what does Liberia do that might be different than the others?
Liberian jollof rice, it happens to be my favorite dish,
Okay.
not because I'm only from Liberia, but because it's a wholesome dish. It
Mm-hmm.
has vegetables, it has protein. You can omit the protein if you desire, but it's very wholesome, and it has a lot of flavors, a lot of spices and herbs in Liberian jollof rice.
What are some of the other staples that African dishes have? I mean, like you said, there's rice, there's beans, um, fish. What other kinds of staples go into the recipes that you selected? And really, how did you select the recipes? Because you could have gone a lot of different ways with this. So how did you select them?
The recipes were selected from the foods that I shared with home cooks and other chefs. We sat down and I looked at them and I felt that they represent the entire continent of Africa because they're laid out in regions. North Africa, South Africa, East Africa, West Central Africa. They're all divided in regions. And that's what makes my cookbook very unique.
How can people get a copy of your cookbook?
You can get my copy. I got a copy of the cookbook from my website, AfricanFoodIs.com.
African Food
Is dot
okay,
com.
.com. Sherry's going to put that up now. Thank you. That's really good. How long did it take you to put this together?
It took me 30 years to research and, and write the book. It was a labor of love, but it was worth
Yes.
it, every bit of it, because it represents all of Africa. It represents the continent. And also, I'd like to mention that the foods that we eat in Africa are very similar to the foods that are eaten here. And so we share a culture. We share our culture still reigns all over the world. And I've introduced people to this cookbook. And I have also pictures that are in here in this cookbook that were designed by African American. And the cover of this cookbook was designed by a Nigerian artist, a renowned Nigerian artist, Babalola Lawson in Nigeria. And so the cookbook is very easy also to navigate and to prepare the recipes. We do have some recipes that are labor intensive, but we also invite friends and family members to join you and have a festive time preparing the recipes.
You were talking about labor intensive. I remember on a trip to South Africa and visiting a family, and they had me in the kitchen with them preparing pop. And I think I may have, gained a couple muscles, just trying to pull that, make it. I didn't know how, the work that goes into that. But when you say labor intensive, what do you mean? I'm talking about, physical labor, but you're talking about what?
Just preparing the dishes. For instance, there are some herbs and spices that you need to add to the pot. If you have few people together and which is something very common among Africans, we gather together in the kitchen. We have different if you're making jollof rice, you have someone preparing the meat, the vegetables, everything can go into the one pot. So that people consider it labor intensive, but it's fun because you have African music, or sometimes you have somebody who is so griot telling the stories about Africa, what we eat in Africa, why foods are different in different places. But yet still it brings the community together. And that's very interesting. That's why I consider labor intensive. For us, as African mothers, women cooking, we don't consider it labor intensive, but it might be labor intensive for someone else.
And what about the seasonings? Because sometimes when you want a traditional African dish or any dish, a lot of times you can't buy those seasonings in your typical grocery store. But do you make recommendations if you need something that folks don't like? I've seen shrimp, dried shrimp, or things like that. What does your cookbook provide for options or alternatives?
Well, we are blessed in a way because a lot of the seasonings that we use in Africa are sold here in a lot of the shops that are here. So if you want to omit any seasoning that you feel be sensitive to, you don't have to include it. A lot of the seasonings are here in America that you can use to season your food.
Right, but I guess did you find that a lot of the seasonings are in your typical grocery stores, or is it sometimes an exciting outing to go to, let's say, an African or an international grocery store to buy some of the products?
They're in the international grocery stores and many Asian stores.
Okay.
You will find a lot of the seasonings in many Asian stores. And
Wonderful.
another thing I would like to add also is my book makes it easier to measure, because one of the things that in Africa we do not measure when we're cooking. It's traditional for us. And so I learned this when I was attending my culinary school here in Gaithersburg, L'Académie de Cuisine. The chefs taught us how to measure, and I used that same precise measurement in putting together the recipes to be able to measure and make it easier for the buyer or who wants to use the cookbook.
Well, it sounds really, really, I'm getting hungry just talking about food and
Great
African
food.
food, which I haven't had any in too long. But again, what you said, jollof rice is one of your favorites, but is there another one of your
Egusi
favorite?
soup, egusi soup and pounded yam. It's a
Mm.
Nigerian dish.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorites also. I have several favorites.
Okay. All right. Then what about curries?
Curry is mostly prepared in Southern Africa. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy curry,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
it's very good.
you have recipes in there that also
Yes, I do. I have recipes
well.
covering the entire continent of Africa, all regions of Africa. My travels with Pan American World Airways and American International Airways really gave me the opportunity to be able to gather recipes from fantastic people I met across the globe and also in the continent of Africa.
Wow,
And so
that's
I have every
fantastic.
recipe that anyone would need in African food. It's a culinary journey. It's a journey into the continent of Africa. You can travel from West Africa to East Africa and you have a great meal. You go
With
from North Africa to Southern Africa and you will find the best food also. It's a journey.
Wow. Well, I'm going to try to take that journey, Roberta. I'm going to get a copy of your book and
Thank you.
invite friends over and play some good old, African music.
African music, and it'll be fun if you
Exactly.
also have a griot.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes,
Thank you. We're going to
to
follow
connect
up.
the stories of Africa and African Americans here. Because
Wonderful.
food plays an important role in our food. I mean, in what we eat and what we do together. It brings families together. It brings friends together. It's always a festive time preparing African food.
I truly believe that, and I want to thank you so much for creating this book and creating this opportunity for us to actually do that, to get together, enjoy family, friends, and food, and good music. So, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate your time and your creativity here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on your show. Thank
All
you.
righty. Thank you. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
one.
You too.
Well, I think it went by too fast, Chevy. It just went by too fast, but there's so much going on today. And we missed our news broadcast from Curtis, so we'll have to apologize to him. But we want to thank all of you all for being with us today. We're going to follow the Supreme Court nomination and confirmation hearings. We'll be covering that in the Washington Informer. So we hope that you will continue to watch and to listen and to catch up on what's going on with that and follow up. If we've got to write letters to members of the Senate, anything that we can do to support this nomination, we need to step up and do it. So until then, I want you all to have a great week. Again, next month is Women's History Month, so we will be featuring some women who are making a difference in our community, as well as women of the past who have actually made a difference in our community. So until then, I want you to have a great weekend. Continue to watch us here at WHUR TV, and we will see you next Friday, same day, same time. Have a great weekend. Evidently, I'm not supposed to go yet. So I'm going to talk a little bit more. Is anybody out there that wants to talk to me? Oh, hey, Mr. Padmore, thank you so much. Congratulations. I don't know what that's for, but I'm going to say thank you for that. And Kelly Armstead, thank you as well for watching us. Joy Burnett, thank you too. And everybody else, look, we need you to do us a favor. One, subscribe on YouTube. Please tell people about the program. We really do put a lot of work into making sure that we bring some great guests and some great conversations. I know there's so much going on right now and so many choices you have to be in so many different places, but you mean a lot to us. So I want to thank you again for being with us, and just to go ahead and, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, pick up a copy of the Washington Informer if you're in the DMV. and just know what you like, would like more, see more of, and all of that. I think I can say goodbye now. Okay, Chevy said I can. So see you until next week.